As per your syllabus, this is basically the fourth topic in the series. So this is the syllabus copy, and I just copied the second unit over here. So if we just focus on here, what all things we have covered so far, we started with the method of describing fluid motions, then we went on the type of flow, then we have seen differential equations of continuity, momentum, and Euler's equation of motion, Bernoulli's theorem. And today we are going to start the practical applications of Bernoulli's principle. In that, we will see these three cases: benchrometer, RMS meter, and Pitot tube. Right. So traditionally, venturometer and orifice meter, these are the devices for measuring the flow rate of liquid. If any flow rate is taking place, if we want to measure at what flow rate, means at what kilogram per second that flow is happening, that can be measured either with the help of venturometer or with the help of RPS meter. So this is basically the device, actual device is something like this. So it is having inlet and outlet. If you look at the geometry, if you come here, here area is getting decreased, right? And finally at center portion, if you look at here, area remains constant, but it is very small length compared to this. And after that, it is increasing, area is increasing. So we can say this is a convergent portion, right? So this area where area is decreasing is convergent section, right? And this area where areas keep on increasing is called divergent section. Divergent section. And in between, this is very small, region is present that we say as a throat, right? This region is basically throat. So if I want to measure the flow rate in a pipe, I will attach this device there, right? With the help of nut and bolt. This is all the periphery nut and bolts are there. This is the pipe section to which I will attach it. So the moment flow is entering here, initially it will undergo, initial pressure will be measured here. Look at these tabs are given, right? So in these tabs, I can attach the manometer. So manometer is a device for measuring the pressure difference between two locations. So these are the two locations. Basically here I need to know what is happening to the flow. So I will attach one limb of the manometer in here, another limb will be attached here. In manometric fluid, there will be there inside the manometer, and this will be U2 differential types of manometer that basically we use to measure the pressure difference between any two sections. So the flow is coming, it's initially undergoing compression because area is decreasing, and going compress is pressure, what will happen to pressure? Pressure will increase, right? Then all of a sudden, there will be an expansion, right? So this is the throat area where all of a sudden it will get expand, then finally expansion takes place. The moment expansion takes place, what will happen to the pressure? Pressure decreases, but velocity will increase, right? So here velocity will be different, right? Inlet velocity will be entirely different than the exit velocity. All right. So, but our main purpose is to find out the mass flow rate. For that, we need to know what is the velocity at inlet, what is the velocity at outlet. By putting the equilibrium equation, we can find out the mass flow rate, which is coming out through the divergence section. So, how to proceed with? So, we can say, right, we have considered two sections as this is the one tap, this is the second tap. Exactly at tap location, I said this is the first section, and this is the second section. Second section is exactly at throat location, you see here. And here I am attaching the U2 manometer. So U2 differential manometer I have attached here, and flow is coming from this side. Let's suppose initial diameter is D1, right, and through which flow is entering over here, right. So the moment flow is coming here, which will cause the manometric fluid to either depress or rise, right? So the moment is coming here, and it is getting contracted here. So this side pressure will be more, due to which what will happen? The liquid will rise. So we will see in what portion your manometric liquid has been filled on with respect to the second limb. So this is the, let's suppose, the interface. So we can say the height by which it has been risen in the manometer. So definition of benchrometer is that it is a device, right, that is used for measuring the rate of flow of fluid through a pipe section, right? And it consists basically three portions. One is short convergent part. This is short basically. Then after that, this is the throat. Then the long divergent section. This divergent section length is bigger than the short convergent section. So the flow of fluid which is happening over here is basically following the Bernoulli's principle. So it is based on the Bernoulli's principle. Let's suppose D1 is the diameter of the inlet at section 1, right? and the similar parameters I am going to write here. So P1 is the pressure at 1, right, and velocity at 1 I am writing as V1, velocity at 1, right. All these parameters at section 2 I can say pressure at 2, right, velocity at 2, right. I can say, and you say that okay, diameter is different, I will consider diameter 2. Here diameter is different, here diameter is different. So inlet diameter is D1, exit diameter is D2, inlet pressure is P1, this is P2, velocity, these are the velocity, right. So be clear about this. So this is velocity and this is pressure, right. So corresponding terms I have written there. Now we have to apply the Bernoulli equation. So applying Bernoulli's equation, I'm writing in short form. Bernoulli's equation, you can write in full form. Bernoulli's equation between section 1, right? So we are writing basically between section 1 and 2. So just use the standard form, right? The pressure head, velocity head, then your datum head. So when we're talking about head means P is equal to rho g h. So head is equal to P divided by rho g. So we can write P1 divided by rho 1. If I am saying, assume like in compressible flow, leave the compressibility in compressible flow, so I can say P1 by rho z, the first term, and velocity 1 square divided by 2z is the second term. And let's suppose it is lying at a datum head of z1 from some arbitrary chosen origin, right, and some equation can be followed this side as well. So rho z plus b2 square divided by 2z plus z2. We can write in this way. Now, if it is horizontal, like as it is shown schematically over here, if it is horizontal, assume z1 is equal to z2. If it is inclined, then it will have different value of z1 and z2. That will depend on the situation. Now, as we are deriving the expression for the case when venturi meter is positioned horizontally, in this case, z1 is equal to z2, right? So here basically z1 is equal to z2. This is our case. Sometimes if you are going to incline, then it will be different. Keep in mind, note it down somewhere. So z1 is equal to z2. The moment we are saying this term and this term is going to be cancelled out. We can find out the pressure difference. We need to measure the pressure difference between 1 and 2. I can write P1 minus P2 right from this equation, and I can write the equation later on. So let's go for the next term. So I can say pressure difference P1 minus P2 is the pressure difference, and difference in head I need to write. So rho g, in this way I can write. So this is equal to V2 square minus V1 square divided by the 2 times of g. Let's suppose this is my equation number 1. I will stop it here. Now, what is this basically? This is nothing but pressure head, right? H is nothing but P1 minus P2 divided by rho g, right? This is known as pressure head. Pressure head. Now, as flow is happening, and when flow is there, it must satisfy the continuity equation, because continuity equation is the must criteria for any kind of flow to happen, right? So, from continuity equation, I am emphasizing on this word right again. I am saying that if flow is there, that means it must satisfy the continuity equation. It is a must condition, right? It is not a should condition. We cannot avoid this continuity equation. So if you are talking about continuity equation, that means we can say the mass flow rate 1 is equal to the mass flow rate at 2. Right, this equation basically we are getting. So if we talk about the mass flow rate for incompressible flow situation, where density we can neglect, or you can write even with density, rho A1 V1 is equal to rho A2 V2. This equation we can write from continuity equation. So from here we can find one relationship between the velocity right at inlet and exit. Density is going to cancel out. We can say from here A1, sorry, not A1, we'll have to write in terms of velocity, because area in terms of geometrical parameters we need to define that. Follow derivation parallelly, right? Otherwise, you will lose the track. So velocity 1, when you're writing, you can write like a2 divided by a1 in one bracket times of v2. This we got. Equation number 2. Clear? So combining the equation number 1 and sorry, yeah, equation number 1 and equation number 2, we have to combine it together. So if you are going to do so, what you can write? You can write this term as head, which already we have defined. So pressure head. So you need to mention it from 1 and 2. You are writing this equation. So pressure head is equal to, in place of V1, right? Substitute this entire value over here. So you can say V2 square minus A2 divided by A1 whole square into V2 square divided by 2 times of G. This you can write on. Now you solve this, right? If you solve this, this can be written as V2 square divided by 2G because V2 is common in all. So we can write in bracket 1 minus A2 divided by A1 whole square. Clear? Like that you can write on. So what is our main purpose here? We need to find out the velocity at exit. The moment I know the velocity at exit, I can find out the mass flow rate at exit because I know the area of exit, that is A2. So from this equation, I need to get V2 value, right? This main purpose is to find out the V2. Better you start with V2 square. So get everything this side. So this becomes 2 times of G into H and divided by this parameter. So you take the LCM. So if you take the LCM, this will become A1 square minus A2 square divided by A1 square. So A1 square will be coming over here and remaining parameter will be downside. So we can say A1 square minus A2 square. This we can write. Clear? So now you write V2 out of this. So directly I'm writing here. So V2 means you have to under root over this. The moment you put the under root, this will become A1 and remaining all parameters will go in under root. So we can write like A1 divided by under root A1 square minus A2 square. This is one term multiply by under root 2 times of G into H. So this we have written, this is the velocity at exit, right? Velocity at exit you got from here. So as you know the velocity, you can find out the discharge. We say this as a discharge or flow rate Both are same thing. And usually we denote this by Q. So Q is equal to area at exit into velocity at exit. This is known as discharge. So you know the velocity terms, so just you write here A1, A2 divided by under root A1 square minus A2 square into 2GH. This you got. So this equation basically gives you the discharge, right, under the ideal condition. So this is basically ideal condition you assume under ideal condition. Ideal condition means you assume like it's a steady flow, it is an incompressible flow. When reality, some portion of compressibility will be present, and we need to account for that. So this is basically ideal discharge, or sometimes we say this as a theoretical discharge, right? Theoretical discharge. Note down, this is very, very important. Yeah, theoretical discharge, right? Which is given here. But actual discharge will be lesser than this because of some losses involved. So when you are going for actual discharge, that will be represented by the Q actual. We will add here. That is nothing but one parameter we need to add, that is called coefficient of discharge, into same expression, right? That we can say Q theoretical. So I will add here Q theoretical. So CD times of Q theoretical will be called actual discharge, where CD basically called as coefficient of Venturi meter. So this CD is basically coefficient of Venturi meter, and its value, right, its value will be lying between 0.98 to maximum 1, right? Value will be in between 0.98 to 1. This is very narrow range, and somebody will ask you, why are we adding the CD? CDs basically will be accounting all the losses. So those losses, even though values will be less, but that will cause a significant, decrease in the flow rate. And for that purpose, this coefficient of discharge is being introduced here. So actual discharge is CD times of theoretical discharge. So in a whole, you can write the equation, right, for Q actual as just multiply CD, and same equation what you are writing here, A1 by A1 A2, and under root all that terms, right, A1 square minus A2 square into under root 2ZH. So this is basically the actual discharge for the machine. That was the theoretical discharge. This is the actual discharge. Keep in mind. And here H is called basically pressure head. How will you measure the pressure head? Pressure head will be measured with the help of U-tube differential manometer. Now pressure head, let's suppose conditions may be different because we are using the inverted U-tube manometer in this case. Sometime we will be using the simple, differential U-tube manometer. In that case, H values will be different, right? If we are using inverted U-tube differential manometer, which type of manometric fluids will be using? We will be using the manometric fluids whose density is lower than the density of the flowing fluid in the pipe. If we are using the ordinary U-tube differential manometer, in that case, manometric fluid will have heavier density than the density of the flowing fluid. That you keep in mind. So there are two conditions in which find out the value of H. We are going for value of H. So up to here, I don't think so you will have any doubt. Let's go for next. So now we'll be talking about the value of H only. So how to calculate the value of H? Value of H. So that is called pressure head. So there are two cases. First case we consider case 1. Case 1 talks about let the differential manometer condense a liquid which is heavier than the liquid flowing through the pipe. Heavier means that is original way of differential manometer. If this is like this, right, and we are using this kind of manometer, and this end is connected right to one point, and this end is connected directly here, and here is the pipe which is going, and this is the scenario, and this is the flowing fluid, and this is the manometric fluid which is filled here. So in this case, what will happen, whatever datum that you will be measuring over here, this is basically density of heavier liquid, right? Heavier liquid. We will be using the heavier liquid in this case, and this is the flowing liquid. Flowing liquid. So this is the first case when the manometric fluid that we are using with is having density heavier compared to the flowing fluid. So that means there is a traditional way of U-tube differential manometer in this case, right? So in this case, if you are going to measure, you will be writing, right, usually pressure head. This is basically not head, we can say this as a X, means some reading is coming over this manometer. So pressure head, if you are measuring, that will be X, specific gravity of heavier liquid divided by a specific gravity of flowing liquid. So if I saying flowing liquid is represented by O and -1. So here, this is specific gravity, right? Specific gravity of heavier liquid, and this S naught is the specific gravity of flowing liquid. So like that you can find out. So this is the pressure head, and this is the reading on the U-tube manometer, this reading that you directly getting, and this is the ratio of specific specific gravity of heavier liquid divided by the specific gravity of lighter liquid or flowing liquid. This is the first case. Second case, Second case, you are using this kind of pattern, right? This is the pipe which is going through, and you are attaching a manometer, something called this kind of manometer you are attaching. So this is the case. Then this is the flowing fluid, right? So here you will get some, difference in height, and this will be going over here, and you will get here X value. So whatever liquid which is filled here will have density low, right? Lower than the density of flowing fluid. So in this case, the reading will be written like H is equal to X 1 minus specific gravity of lower means lower density liquid divided by specific gravity of flowing liquid. So this you have to use, where SL represents the specific gravity of lighter liquid and S naught is representing the specific gravity of flowing liquid. So this is called inverted U-tube differential manometer. This is a traditional U-tube differential manometer. These are the two cases, right, in which you can find out the value of H. There is even a third case, right? This is for horizontal case. If it is going to be inclined, then what will happen? When it's going to be inclined, then one more term will get added up here, that is called datum. Datum you need to add. This is for the case of horizontal case, right? So these all two cases we have seen, this is horizontal. So I will write here horizontal case, horizontal flow. So this is actually we have considered here horizontal flow, and for that these two cases we have seen. Now third case is also possible, right? Where inclined, right? So case 3, inclined venturimeter. With the differential manometer, right? So manometer type is basically differential manometer. So now it is going to incline, inlet will have different datum head and exit will have different datum head. So Z1 and Z2 you have to use, right? So when you are writing the pressure head, right, you will be writing like P1 by rho Z plus Z1 minus P2 by rho Z plus Z2, right? This you will be adding over here. Earlier it was just P1 minus P2 by rho Z when datum head was neglected. So this will become basically in the case of heavier liquid, you will say like specific gravity of heavier flowing -1. This is the first case, or second case you can write for lighter liquid. So this is the two cases in which you can add even datum head is equal to X 1 minus lighter liquid divided by the flowing liquid. Next one is Orbis meter, right? This is another device, right, which can also be used for measuring the low discharges, right? If you're going for higher magnitude of discharge flow measurement, you will be using the venturimeter. If you are just measuring the low to moderate value of discharges, you will be using the RFS meter. So just look at this diagram. It is having some sort of plate here. This is a plate, and which is having a very small area, right? Small diameter. So the moment flow is coming from here, it will undergo all of sudden contraction. So this is a contraction of flow. All of sudden it's compressing. Then all of sudden expansion. So because of this, what will happen? It will undergo a larger drop of pressure immediately after this. So when it's going a larger drop of pressure, right, what will happen? The velocity at exit will be much higher than the velocity at inlet. And we have attached the differential manometer over here. Similarly, what we were using earlier also. So at 1 and 2, these are the two locations where we are attaching the limbs of differential manometers. This is the orifice plate. So we can say it is a device used for measuring the rate of flow of fluid through pipe. As this is setup is very, what we say, very simple compared to earlier case where we were using three different kind of sections. Here we are creating same sort of, flow phenomena by attaching just simple one plate, right? So it requires only one circular plate It's having very small diameter, so all of a sudden, fluid undergo contraction, then expansion. So same flow phenomena we can generate with the help of this kind of simple device. So if this is simple, that means it is a cheaper in cost. So it is a cheaper device. This is one advantage of this. Cheaper compared to bathymeter. This is one advantage of this, right? Cheaper device as compared to benchrometer. It also works on the same principle. You look at it also utilizing the same principle. Contraction, then expansion. This also works on the same principle. We can say that works on the same principle as of benchrometer. All right. So it consists of a flat plate. You look at this plate. This is a flat plate. It's having a very small, hole at the center. So it is having a flat circular plate which has a circular sharp edge hole here. So edge sharp, if you say, that means I'm talking about this area. This is something like this. If I draw here, right? So sharp means all of a sudden it will be like this, right? Entry. So from this side, if you are drawing, it will be something like this. So hole is something like this. So all of a sudden flow is coming, it is contracting, then expanding. So it's not clearly visible here. So it is something like this, which is here. All right. So this is the plate, circular plate, which is attached. So the flat circular plate is having sharp edged hole called orifice. So this area basically called orifice. So we can say this is as orifice. This region is called orifice, which is basically a concentric circle. So why we are saying concentric circle? Here diameter is different, and look at here diameter is different. So it is a concentric circle. If you look at the side view of this, right? If you want to draw over here, all right. Just I am projecting this, right? Not all. So one circle you will be getting, then second circle you will be getting. So it is a concentric kind of thing which is at the center. The flow is coming, getting contracted, then expanding. So it is a concentric circle kind of thing, and it is a concentric with the center of this basically is lying exactly at the center of this main pipe. A differential manometer usually we use because we want to measure the pressure at different two sections at a distance of 1.5 to 2 times the diameter of pipe. So this location, right, basically is basically 1.5. We can say differential manometer will be used at a distance of 1.5 to 2 times the diameter of pipe, dia of pipe. These are the standard values, right, of the standard design procedures. Upstream from this is the condition of upstream from the orifice plate. So this location I am talking about, the first limb will be lying at a distance of 1.5 to 2 times the diameter of the pipe from this plate. So this distance is basically 1.5 to 2 times the diameter of the main pipe, right? This is one thing. Upstream of the plate, and the section 2, which is at a distance of half the diameter. So this distance is half. So section 2 is at 1/2 times of dia of pipe from orifice plate. Note down these values, right? So half times of diameter of plate downstream of the orifice. So this is half time, and this is 1.5 to 2 times, diameter of this diameter I'm talking about, location of 1 and 2. Now, just focus over here. So I said diameter is fixed for the pipe. It's not varying. This is a very small, length in which diameter variation is taking place. So the effect when you are writing the equation, right? Length is very small, so we'll consider diameter as same for this orifice, right, throughout. But it looks like this, right? So length is very small. So now, when you are applying the Bernoulli's equation, right? Bernoulli's equation, if you are going to write, you can write same equation, right? So I'm writing just pressure head from here, pressure head. So pressure head usually we define like V2 square minus V1 square divided by 2 times of Z. That we already know. Pressure head, we are writing here between 1 and 2. And datum head is, same because it's a horizontal pipe, so we can write only this equation. So from here we can write V2 is equal to, because we need only V2 to find out the discharge at 2. So V2 is under root 2ZH plus V1 square. So give this equation number 1. Right? So we have written equation number 1 over here. Now, section 2 is at the exactly, you look at here. So flow phenomena is something like this, which is happening. So the smallest area, right, in this flow is happening exactly over here. You look at this. This is basically the throat section. So throat section is exactly lying at the section 2-2. So we can say section 2-2 is lying very closer to the this range, right? This minimum area, and this minimum area is basically given as a standard name called vena contracta. Right, smaller area which is forming due to this flow domain is called vena contracta, and section 2-2 is lying exactly at vena contracta. So if I say that area here is A naught, right? Area here is A naught. A naught is the area of this vena contracta, and A, if I say area of this pipe. So section 1-1 is exactly lying at the pipe diameter, right? So we can say area here is A, but here area is A naught. So we can write that. So we can define contraction ratio. Second thing is contraction ratio. This is very important term. Usually we define that C suffix C. So contraction ratio is the area of inlet of the pipe uh, to the area of vena contracta. So if you say that inlet of pipe divided by area of vena contracta, you can say in this way, yes or no? So look at the diagram again. So this is the initial thing. This is the vena contracta, and this area is again becoming diameter, right? If you were talking about here also, and because as we are talking about the velocity 2, right? So we need to consider the area of this divided by the area of vena contracta as our contraction ratio, right? So we can write this as area at 2 divided by the area at vena contracta. So from here we can say that area at section 2 is nothing but contraction ratio into area of vena contracta. This is equation number 2. Clear? Where this Cc is known as coefficient of contraction, right? Coefficient of contraction or contraction ratio, right? Basically depending on the area of. So coefficient of contraction is Cc. Now continuity equation, right? Continuity equation. This will always come. So from continuity equation, so we can say from continuity equation, area at section 1, velocity at 1 is equal to area at section 2, velocity at 2. We can say this. So from here, velocity at 1 can be said like area at 2 divided by area at 1 and velocity at 2. Area at 2 you already know, which is given as coefficient of contraction A naught divided by A1 into V2. We can say this is equation number 3. Now you know this V1 value in terms of V2, because look at the equation where we left with. Here we need to find out the V2, where we are having basically two terms H and V1. So we need to find out the V1 in terms of V2, that is section 2, right? That is very closer to the vena contracta. So here section 2 is area 2, So in terms of area 2, we have expressed B1. So now substituting this value of P1, right, in equation number 1, right, which is over here. So from equation 1, we can say V2 is equal to under root 2ZH. This will come as it is, all right, plus B1 square, substitute the value, this entire thing. So the moment you put, you will write A naught by A1 whole square into C square into V2 square, all right. This you can write on. So just leave this here, right, at this place, or you do the arrangement whole square on both sides, right, whole square on both sides, and we need to know the value of V2, right? So for that we will solve. So after solution, right, directly you will be getting this sort of equation under root 2ZH divided by under root 1 minus A naught by A1 whole square into CC square. This you will be getting on. So I will say this equation number 4. Now, discharge. When you are finding out the discharge, we are finding out the discharge at section 2. So Q is equal to A2 into V2. So V2 is here and A2 we already know in terms of A naught. So we can say like A naught into CC into V2. So V2 is this entire equation will come here. So into V2. So we can say Q theoretical. This is theoretical we are finding out. So this will become A naught CC divided by under root this entire term. This slightly, what we say complex, you need to remember all these things, right? Because you cannot escape that. So A naught by A1 CC square into under root 2ZH. So this is basically theoretical discharge. So above equation can further be simplified. This complete term I'm talking about, this complete term can further be simplified by another expression. So we can say that the above expression can be simplified as in terms of coefficient of discharge. We will introduce this. This is Cc multiply under root 1 minus A naught by A1 whole square, right, divided by under root 1 minus A naught by A1 whole square into Cc square. So this is coefficient of discharge. So you can take the value of Cc out of this. So Cc is equal to Cd multiplied by this term divided by this term. Now substitute the value of Cc from here in equation number 5, right? We can say so. Substituting the value of Cc from 6 into 5th, we have, so look at Cc value. Cc will be Cd times of this term divided by this term. So the moment you put here in terms of Cd, this term, right, will be cancelled out because this term and this term will cancel out. Only down term will be coming this one, right? So Q theoretical, if we are writing in this case, will become A naught into CD. Right, directly I am putting the value. So under root 1 minus A naught by A1 whole square CC square, that is there, divided by under root 1 minus A naught by A1 whole square, that this is coming into under root 2ZH divided by 1 minus A naught by A1 whole square CC square. So this term and this term will cancel out. So we can say that Q theoretical is equal to CD into A naught, and just I'll take the LCM in this. So A1 will come here under root A1 square minus A2 square into under root 2ZH. So this is the theoretical discharge for the orifice meter. So here CD is called as coefficient of discharge, right? Coefficient of discharge for orifice meter. All right. And the value of this, right, value of this will be lying between 0.6 to 0.66. Look at the range in which coefficient of discharge or orifice meter will be 0.6 to 0.66, maximum 0.66. If we compare with the Venturi meter, their coefficient of discharge was 0.82 and up to going to 1. So that will be used for higher flow rate condition. This is for low to moderate flow rate condition. So for today, I think so this much is enough because time is also going to be now 12:57. So if you are having any doubt, right, start asking the question.